Everyone wants their videos to look more cinematic, but just because you have a gimbal doesn't mean you need to use it for every single shot. How's it going, guys? My name's Ted Willis, and outside of making YouTube videos, I'm also a cinematographer. And when I say everybody makes this mistake with gimbals, I mean everybody, including myself. And even though I'm aware of it, I still tend to do this. And that mistake is getting too excited about having a gimbal. Gimbals are powerful tools, and they allow us as filmmakers and YouTubers to create really beautiful camera moves, but they're tools. Just because you can move the camera doesn't mean you should. And the biggest mistake I see is excessive use of this tool. As a cinematographer, before a beautiful image comes, story needs to take priority. Story needs to motivate what the beautiful image is. If we're going out shooting a pretty picture just to get a pretty picture, it's really meaningless. And it's not as powerful as something that is crafted because of the story we're trying to tell. That can translate into a lot of things and includes camera movement. In the cinematography world, camera movement can be categorized into two main types: motivated and unmotivated. A motivated camera move is something that you're not going to notice. It's seamless. It doesn't draw attention to the camera itself. The camera moves because something in the scene actually motivates that movement. It could be an audio cue, but more often than not, it's a character or object that's moving. In narrative pieces, these movements are very choreographed. The characters are all lined up and in sync, and everything is planned. But you can also use these motivated movements in documentary or filming real life things. It just takes a little bit of foresight and planning out your shot in the environment you're in. A couple really easy examples of an unmotivated camera move is a dolly push in and a dolly pull out, which can also be mimicked with a gimbal. Pushing in slowly on a character's face can build tension, build drama. Pulling out can signify that character is more isolated, feeling alone. We're distancing ourselves from the character, but the character's not moving. So that camera move is signifying something else. It's communicating something more than what's happening in the frame. Naturally, the way our eyes work with our brains as humans is we are drawn to movement. So movement is powerful and it needs to be used intentionally. Okay, here's a couple of really easy examples of what a motivated camera move looks like versus an unmotivated camera move. And it's simple, you can use it in establishing shots. So here's a shot where our camera is panning and booming up to reveal an establishing shot of a building. This is unmotivated. It works, it establishes the building, but you kind of notice that the camera is moving. Here's an example of the same shot establishing the same building, only the shot is motivated. See, this is something you can do in a documentary film. You don't have to choreograph. There's people walking by all the time. You just time your shot to work with it. Now notice the motivated shot, it feels a little bit more natural. You don't notice that the camera's moving. You don't really notice that, oh hey, we're establishing this new scene. It just flows. We've talked a lot about what it looks like to move a camera and do it with intention, but it's just as powerful to capture a shot that's static, not moving the camera. As I mentioned before, the human eye really notices movement. So if you can pose a shot where there's movement happening, you can actually draw more attention to that movement if the camera is still. Some of the most beautifully shot cinematic documentary films are shot using a tripod. The camera is locked down most of the time. There is no gimbal, there's no Steadicam, and it is extremely cinematic. Then when these two techniques are paired together in one piece, it can be doubly powerful because the static shots contrast with the movement of the gimbal shots, and that contrast really can make a powerful statement if done with intention to complement the story. So in conclusion, don't just move the camera because you can. Think about how it's furthering the story and why you're moving it. Let me know what sort of tutorials, cinematography, storytelling, YouTube tips you want to know in the comments below, and get out there and let's inspire some good.